vanishing towns.
This whole area, it looks like this. It's just gone pretty much.
This is pretty devastating. I don't think LA's seen anything like this before. Not even the earthquake.
Burning highways. And chaos everywhere. What sparked it? Nature, arson, or something darker?
The fire crews here tell us they have a shortage of water, and in many instances they're having to stand and watch these properties burn. It is a losing battle.
Today, we'll see how wildfires turned out to be these nations' worst nightmare. The recent Israel wildfires. Wildfires have always been part of nature, but lately, something feels different. They're bigger, faster, smarter, and in some cases, suspicious. What happened in Israel recently wasn't just a wildfire. It was a nightmare that refused to stay in the forest. A firestorm that raised more questions than answers and sparked conspiracy louder than the flames themselves. In April 2025, wildfires tore across central and northern Israel. It started like many others, one small blaze in a forested area near Nazareth. But within hours, multiple fires had ignited in different regions. Not in one line, not in one direction, but in scattered pockets, far apart. That's what caught people off guard. The fires ripped through homes, nature reserves, and religious sites. Entire communities were evacuated in panic. The Israeli Fire and Rescue Services called it one of the most coordinated and destructive wildfire events in recent memory. Local temperatures had been unusually high, yes. Winds were fierce, but something didn't sit right with the public. People began asking, why were so many fires starting at once? Why in such strategic places? And why now? In response, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared a national emergency. Over 160 firefighting crews, supported by 12 aircraft and military personnel, battled the inferno. International assistance arrived from countries including Italy, Croatia, and France, providing additional aerial support.
These now blackened and charred hillsides are actually still smouldering over in the distance. The flames torching around 5,000 acres of land. Israel's Air Force with this impressive view from above as they drop blocks of fire retardant. The winds yesterday hitting 50 miles an hour. With the flames spreading so quickly, some 10,000 people were told to leave their homes. The good news, guys, this morning is that temperatures are down significantly, as are those winds, and it now looks like fire crews broadly have the fire under control.
Possible causes. The official story pointed to climate conditions, rising heat, dry vegetation, and high winds. But others believe those were just the perfect conditions for something else to take place. Security agencies began quietly investigating possible arson. They didn't say much, but leaks hinted that some fires may have been intentionally started, not by accident. Not by nature. Local footage showed cars bursting into flames with no visible source nearby. CCTV from a rural farm caught what looked like a drone, hovering moments before flames erupted below. The government dismissed the footage as unrelated, but people weren't convinced. Meanwhile, conspiracy forums started buzzing. Conspiracies around the Israel fires. Online, a darker narrative emerged. Some claimed the fires were part of a land-clearing operation, a way to forcibly shift rural populations or remove settlements not aligned with certain state or corporate interests. Others believed it was eco-terrorism, possibly tied to rising tensions in the region, or environmental extremists trying to send a message. Researchers say Israel's worst wildfires were exacerbated by non-native tree species that Israel has been planting since 1948 to cover dispossessed Palestinian villages with forests.
Israel boasts about having planted about 240 million trees since its founding in 1948 as a settler colony, and about 90% of these trees are not indigenous to the land. So they have been planting Australian eucalyptus trees, extremely flammable, and it's plantations in the south of Palestine, the Naqab, has actually been contributing to local desertification, and it's been shown to contribute to a local climate warming effect. I've heard from Palestinian botanists explained firsthand with photo that when fires have happened before, the invasive flora is on fire while the olive trees are intact. They specifically chose the pine because it can grow really quickly and it can just spread easily. And so they used the tree to stake a claim to the land. They also used it to prevent Palestinians from returning. So very frequently they planted trees and established parks right on top of the ruins of the hundreds of Palestinian villages that Israel destroyed. Israel, especially from 2010, it's been trying to distract from its crimes by saying actually, we're at the forefront of the struggle against climate change.
And then came the directed energy weapon theories, claims that satellites or aircraft were used to ignite fires remotely, targeting specific buildings, and even melting metal in ways that no typical wildfire could. Videos showing strange beams of light and unnatural burn patterns added fuel to this fire, figuratively and literally. The wildfires didn't just consume forests and homes, they ignited political tension too. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was quick to suggest that some of the fires might have been acts of arson carried out by Palestinians.
While fire engines are preferred, given the limitations, the priority right now is defending Jerusalem. That is of utmost importance, and I don't yet know how far the fire has spread in other hotspots across the country. We need to use every available tool and mobilize as many resources as possible.
While investigations were still underway and no definitive links were confirmed, his statement intensified an already fragile situation. Nothing was proven, but in the ashes, people felt something bigger had happened, something they weren't being told. LA fire. This wasn't the first time a wildfire didn't make sense. Just months before Israel's wildfires, on January 7th, 2025, the state of California was ignited by wildfires, and within just 12 hours, major fires broke out across Los Angeles County. The fires rapidly consumed thousands of acres due to dry conditions, drought-stricken vegetation, and fierce Santa Ana winds, causing massive destruction.
Strong, high pressure creates a tight pressure gradient, and that has made for breezy, easterly winds that are running into the Sierra Nevada mountains. Now, the air can't quite always get over that range, so in this case, it's getting funneled off to the southwest and toward Southern California. Now, as it does so, that air is steadily dropping in elevation. And when air sinks, it gets compressed. That causes it to heat up, to dry out, and to accelerate. Now, dry air is also heavier than otherwise similar air with higher moisture. So as these winds race toward the San Gabriel, as well as the Santa Ana Mountains and other surrounding ranges of Los Angeles, they start to get funneled through these canyons and passes. And this has an effect on the winds, like putting your thumb over the end of a garden hose. That space gets constricted, and so the air still accelerating, still going downhill at this point. So these processes just stacking on top of one another. And before you know it, that air is bone dry as it sweeps through the Los Angeles area. Dew points in the teens or single digits. That wind is howling. You combine it with pre-existing drought, and you have an absolute tinderbox just waiting for a spark. And once a fire does get going, these winds make it nearly impossible to contain it.
While officials blamed natural causes, a wave of unsettling reports sparked conspiracy theories, claims of arson, with an alleged arsonist arrested, drones disrupting firefighting aircraft, oddly untouched trees, and even sightings of UFOs and glowing orbs near the fires. Some believe the disaster was planned, especially given the sudden withdrawal of major insurance companies and empty water reservoirs during peak need. Whatever the reason, the fires broke the record for past wildfires in the region, surpassing the California Camp Fire 2018. California's Camp Fire was the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in state history. The entire town of Paradise was gone in a single day. Survivors spoke of flames moving too fast to outrun, jumping across highways, melting cars.
Take a look at this. These aluminum wheels have actually melted. This is melted aluminum that you're looking at right here. That just gives you an idea of just how hot it got here. Did a quick internet search, and I guess that Aluminum melts at 1200 degrees. I don't know how accurate that is, but it sure did get hot to melt these wheels.
And turning neighborhoods to dust, while trees next to them stood untouched.
Looks a lot like the Palisades where I was last night. I mean, it's just block after block that looks like this. There don't seem to be as many really big fires still raging here as what I saw last night in the Palisades, but it's just awful. I mean, this whole area, it looks like this. It's just gone pretty much.
PG&E, the utility company, took the fall, accused of faulty equipment and poor maintenance. They even paid billions in damages.
The utility pleading guilty to 84 felony counts of involuntary manslaughter for the 2018 Camp Fire that all but wiped out the town of Paradise in Butte County.
On behalf of PG&E, how do you plead to violation of Penal Code Section 192B, involuntary manslaughter, as a felony concerning the death of David Young as alleged in count 85 of the indictment?
And no words from me can ever reduce the magnitude of that devastation or do anything to repair the damage, but I hope, and I sincerely hope, that the actions we're taking today will help bring some measure of peace.
But for some, that wasn't the full story. Videos from that time showed bizarre scenes where metal and glass of the cars melted, but the plastics remained untouched. People speculated about military experiments, microwave weapons, or energy-based attacks. Greece, 2023 fires. In 2023, Greece faced one of its most terrifying summers. Fires broke out across the mainland and islands like Rhodes and Evia. Tourists were airlifted off beaches. Villages vanished in smoke. But here's what raised eyebrows: the speed and behavior of the flames. Firefighters said the fires moved as if they were being guided. Homes burned to ash, but olive trees and chapels next to them were untouched. Some residents insisted it was arson. Others pointed to foreign interference and claimed that foreign agents were using the chaos to test weaponized fire or destabilize the region economically. Even the Greek Minister for Civil Protection hinted at coordinated ignition points, implying these weren't accidents. Australia's Black Summer, 2019-2020.
So it's going both ways. Yeah. It's going up there and up here, so...
it is getting a bit worse now. We'll just work our way up the hill.
Up the hill?
So that when we fire behind us.
Yeah.
And who can forget what Australia went through between 2019 and 2020 wasn't just a wildfire. It was a continent-wide catastrophe. It was so bad that it was named Australia's Black Summer. Between June 2019 and May 2020, more than 24 million hectares burned. That's an area larger than South Korea. At its worst, the skies above Sydney turned blood red. Smoke choked the air from the Blue Mountains all the way to New Zealand. Flights were grounded, entire ecosystems destroyed.
This is what the New South Wales fire authorities are having to put up with. These fires start from nowhere and they've gone and spread incredibly quickly. Very difficult for them to stop it.
But it wasn't just the scale of destruction that shocked the world. It was the way it happened.
Look, in Australia, bad fire weather days have always been difficult. But what was different this summer was multiple fires formed their own weather systems. With massive fires, the heat going up drives the smoke column 10, 12, 13 kilometres up into the stratosphere.
The fires didn't move like ordinary bushfires. They created their own weather systems, pyrocumulonimbus clouds, capable of generating lightning that sparked more fires hundreds of kilometers away. In some fire, tornadoes ripped through towns, hurling debris with the force of a cyclone. The fires were so bad that its thick smoke was even captured by satellite cameras. By the end of it all, the numbers were terrifying. 3,500 homes destroyed, over 400 human lives lost, directly and indirectly, an estimated 3 billion animals affected, many species pushed to the edge of extinction. Conspiracies and suspicions. Officially, lightning strikes, extreme drought, and climate change were blamed, but locals had other stories. Some claimed to see black vans and unmarked helicopters in the hours before certain fires started. Others said they were told to evacuate long before flames were even visible. Raising suspicions of advanced warning systems known only to a few. And then came the claims of arson, but not from teenage vandals or thrill seekers. No, this time, people pointed at developers and mining corporations, but the media kept denying, calling the claims baseless and fake. There were rumors that remote Aboriginal land, areas protected by native title, had mysteriously burned, and shortly after, mining interests moved in. Coincidence? Maybe, but it happened too often to ignore. There were even reports of mining companies trying to push indigenous communities off land, and some believe the fires helped clear the way. Online, theories exploded. Were certain fires intentionally set to open land for industrial use? Were these fires manipulated or accelerated using experimental tech? Was this part of a larger plan to displace rural populations under the guise of climate disaster? Government officials denied everything, but leaked documents from state planning departments showed that rezoning of scorched land was being considered even before the ashes cooled. Aftermath. Australia survived Black Summer, but it didn't come out entirely. Towns like Cobargo and Malakuta still bear the scars. Burned buildings, ghost roads, and traumatized survivors.
This is what's left of my bedroom. It's like, it's unbelievable. And it is, an indication of how ferocious the fires have been.
The tourism industry was shattered. Wildlife corridors, once teeming with koalas and kangaroos, were reduced to silent wastelands. Worse.
Oh, Mama. Hey?
We lost whole animal cultures. It's pretty confronting.
I think it hurts just a little bit more because we've just missed them by this much. They've only just died.
But even for those animals that do survive, the natives, the real challenge just begins.
Check if there's a leak in here. This cargo is very precious.
The fires should act as a big wake-up call.
It's going to take time, and if we can support these animals through this time.
Many survivors say they feel forgotten. Promised government relief came too late, or never at all. And insurance payouts were buried under red tape. It's no wonder conspiracy theories took root in a disaster that massive. Silence is fuel. Confusion is fire. And the absence of answers, that's where the real blaze begins. Wildlife was wiped out in staggering numbers. Officially, lightning and heat waves were blamed. But just like in Israel, the ignition points were spread too far, too fast. It's a chilling thought. But again, nothing was proven, only patterns, repeating, escalating. Back to Israel. Was this really just a fire? So now, we circle back to Israel. The flames have been extinguished, the land is scorched, but the silence left behind feels loud. Was this just another wildfire? Or a message? Were the people of Israel just unlucky victims of nature's rage? Or were they caught in the middle of something far more calculated? A disaster or a warning? Around the world, wildfires are growing stronger, stranger, and sometimes they follow no natural pattern.
What's been happening? What you've seen?
Yeah, it's shocking just how easy that these fires have started and how quick they move, especially on a day like today.
What connects them all? Climate, conspiracy, or something we've yet to understand? One thing is certain, these fires don't just burn forests. They burn trust, safety, and the illusion that we're ever fully in control.